In studio, I'm joined by Nick Kaoma, an entrepreneur who has defined streetwear. Welcome, Nick.
Hi, thanks for having me.
Cool. So, Head Honcho is, the first streetwear to actually be in like major retail shops. How did you actually manage to get that out?
Well, it's been a long process. We had to basically push the brand on our own for a very long time and get it out there in the market. So it took a while for main market to recognize the strength of the brand. Eventually, we're able to get into like very good contracts with the likes of Sports Scene, and now at Sports Scene, I think we are still the only local brand there. So it's been a lot of hard work, but it looks like it's finally paying off.
And also your brand ambassadors, they're huge musicians in the industry like Lulo Cafe. How do you actually get these people on board, and how do you also maintain the fact that they are ambassadors for your brand, so they need to have a good public appeal?
Yes, although we're not working with Lulo anymore.
Who are you working with now?
We have a lot of guys that are up and coming, because what we do with our brand is we like discovering new talent, because even when we started working with the likes of AKA, it was at a point where he was not big, so we started, from scratch with him. And we like, being part of the development and the strategy going forward. So right now we have a crew from Durban, they're called Dream Team. Very, very talented group of young men. They are South Africa's next biggest act, like mark my words. So basically we look for, guys that share our values, guys that are fresh, that are cool, that are talented, that are ambitious and are driven, guys that can represent, Head Honcho to the fullest, because the brand is all about living progressively. So we're looking for guys that live progressively, not just in front of the camera, but, when the camera is off too.
I was actually about to ask you that whole thing, because your slogan is about young people who are living progressively. So yes. How are you continuously building that slogan?
Well, for us, it's very simple. If you want to become a head honcho, basically a head honcho is a leader of the pack, a mogul, someone who's made it. And we communicate these, messages to like young people, like, yo, if you're trying to become a leader, you're trying to become a head honcho, you need to live progressively. It means, you're never looking backwards, you're always going forward, you're always learning, from your struggles or your trials and tribulations. And you go back to the drawing board and you find a way of picking yourself up even when, times are tough. So for us, it's not just a clothing brand. We're not just making, funky little t-shirts or whatever. We're communicating a certain ideal, and that's what, a lot of these guys find appealing. So the Live Progressively message is a powerful message that we've been communicating for a very long time now.
And you also hold an award for Hustler of the Year from the South African Hip Hop Awards. I actually wanted to find out from you what definition of a hustler is for you.
Yeah, I think it's a very hip hop-esque term, that describes someone that has the ability to start something from scratch and see it through and make it a success. So you hustle because you don't necessarily have all the resources on hand. So, you go out of your way, it could be like you're selling t-shirts from the, boot of your car, just as a start, but eventually you get it to a point where it's a massive success.
Is that how you started?
Yeah, that's how I started. Not from the boot of my car, but, from my apartment. I used to sell my t-shirts from my apartment in town, and guys would just come in, buzz, cool, buy 2 or 3 t-shirts. That's how it started. Eventually, we were able to get 1 or 2 stores to stock us. Eventually, we were able to get it on TV, got publicity, and boom, we like all over the country.
And why streetwear?
Streetwear because, one, that's what I love, and that's what I grew up on. And I grew up admiring the likes of Chubby and Wendy, the founders of Luxury Culture. When I was a kid, when I was still back home, I remember picking up an issue of Y Mag, and I read an article about them, just how they started the whole luxury culture thing. And I was like, whoa, 2 young black guys own a clothing label that they're distributing all over the country. For me, it was such an eye-opener, and I was like, okay, cool, this is exactly what I want to do, you know. So eventually when I got to Cape Town, I started playing around with concepts and stuff. And streetwear is key because you're speaking to young people, and I think young people are the ones that need our message. And then two, the nature of the clothes allows you to communicate certain messages or statement T-shirts and so forth.
But you also left your BCom accounting studies to start your business.
Yes.
Looking back, do you feel that was the right decision to make?
I don't regret that decision. Yeah, I think it was the right decision to make. Naturally, I really wanted to finish. I really wanted to get that degree. You know, it's important to like have a sort of safety net, but entrepreneurs are not known for safety nets, you know. We're the type of guys to jump off a cliff and figure out how we're gonna land later. So I wasn't enjoying the whole, you know, studying thing, lectures and tutorials and whatever, and I'm very impatient, so I really wanted to just get out there and just start hustling and start putting stuff together.
And also considering the fact that you're in a very competitive market, I mean, fashion, clothes, they're in and out of fashion really quickly. How do you ensure that you stand out?
We really, it's a tough job, to be honest, but we really have to keep our eyes and ears on the ground. We have to be in the streets on a daily basis. What helps us a lot is part of our business is throwing events all over the country. So we do these really cool, you know, urban hip-hop sort of events. So we are able to see what kids are into there and then, because, you know, everyone comes out with their freshest gear and stuff. And then we surround ourselves with like-minded people, with a lot of young people that are just cool and hip and stuff. I mean, just, yeah, I mean, it's just about keeping up with your industry, checking what's happening overseas, because a lot of overseas trends, you know, filter down to SA. So you just have to keep your finger on the pulse.
And also, how do you maintain a good reputation for your brand as well as a good relationship with your clients?
A good reputation can be maintained when you deliver. And that means delivering to your customers and delivering to your clients. For me, like a brand is, you know, a promise made and a promise kept. You know, so if your promise is quality, great design, great events, you have to deliver. And it's not always easy, especially when you're a small business, black business. You know, you could have issues with funding and stuff like that. But you know, like, no one accepts excuses, so you have to deliver. So if you say you're going to put out a quality range, it has to be quality. If you're saying you're going to do an amazing party, it has to be amazing. Same applies to my clients. Some of my clients are, you know, JSE listed companies, and although we're a small business, we have to deal with them as if we are on the same size, on the same scale, and with the same amount of professionalism. So it's, you know, you have to deliver, basically. That's how you maintain your reputation.